Diciamo. Chiaro. Lì è diventata una stella.
È convinto che sia un coniglio.
Una stella.
The hunt is on. A group of Italian citizens patrol a neighborhood in the city of Turin.
Il problema maggiore è degli immigrati nordafricani e anche da alcuni gruppi di sudamericani. Tutte e tre brutte facce.
Their quarry, immigrants who've turned to crime.
Molto violenti, molto arroganti, e poi per quanto riguarda i nordafricani c'è il problema dell'infiltrazione in mezzo loro di fondamentalisti islamici e la moltiplicazione delle moschee.
This is not some fringe group. Everyone here belongs to the Northern League, which is part of the Italian government. And patrols like this are now permitted under new laws designed to improve security by cracking down on immigrants. This story is about the Italy that tourists rarely get to see. If you want to know about the glories of Italy's past, visit its old churches. But if you want to find out about its future, you'd do better to come here, the Mount Olive Miracle Ministry outside of Naples. There's nothing at all Catholic about this church service, but most of the West Africans in the congregation speak fluent Italian. Some have even married Italians, and all have worked hard to establish themselves here.
In the name of Jesus.
Unfortunately, many still feel like intruders.
Italians, they will tell you they want immigrants by mouth, but in their heart they don't want immigrants because they normally make things difficult for the immigrants.
It's very hard, this place, for we to live here. Because the Italian people, they want us to live. They don't want us to stay here. You understand me?
And even most of them, they are racist.
They are racist.
In the past, Italy has tolerated, even encouraged immigration, but times have definitely changed. The island of Lampedusa has been the first stop for many of Italy's African immigrants. Every summer, as tourists tanned themselves on nearby beaches, boats would arrive full of desperate, dehydrated migrants. Closer to Africa than mainland Italy, Lampedusa has been dubbed the gateway to Europe. Last year, 36,000 people arrived. Nobody knows how many drowned. My driver, Emanuele, takes me to see the island's strange new tourist attraction.
Vedere le barche, dove c'è il cimitero delle barche, diciamo. Vedete dove sono? Questo, per esempio, su una barca di queste sono 200-300 persone.
This is where all the boats from Africa are dumped, along with the possessions people had on board.
Questa è l'ora del arrivo.
It's a Bible or...
La Bibbia questa è.
Those who survive the journey are brought here, Lampedusa's immigrant reception centre.
Per cui le donne e i minori generalmente vengono ospitati in questo padiglione, gli uomini vanno invece all'interno del campo oltre quel cancello.
Deputy Director Paola Silvina says the centre is supposed to hold up to 800 people, but at the beginning of the year there were almost 2,000 migrants here. Now the immigration centre is completely deserted.
Why is the centre so empty?
Non è arrivato nessuno. Da giorni non arriva nessuno, io non lo so perché.
Silvina does know, but she's not authorised to tell me. The Italian government has managed to close the gateway to Europe, thanks to a controversial deal with its new best friend in the region. Amid much pomp, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi visited Italy last month to sign trade and cooperation agreements worth billions of euros. Libya is now doing its best to prevent migrants from leaving, and Italy's actually pushing back boats intercepted in international waters, returning almost 300 migrants to Libya so far.
Quindi io sono, lo ripeto ancora, felice di questa situazione, di questo accordo, di questa collaborazione, felice.
The United Nations, human rights groups and the Vatican have all condemned the deal.
This new policy doesn't consider that on board of these boats you frequently have asylum seekers and refugees. In fact, if you see the last year numbers, it is clear that 75% of those who landed on the Italian coast through Libya applied for asylum. And it is also clear that 50% received from the Italian authorities a form of protection.
The UNHCR says African asylum seekers are now being returned to a country with a reputation for routine human rights abuses. But Gaddafi stunned many in his audience when he declared Africa had no political refugees to worry about.
حكاية اللجوء السياسي الأفارقة ما عندهم مشكل سياسي إطلاقا. هذه واحدة يعني من الخدع والأكاذيب اللي يقول لك اللجوء السياسي جايينكم عشان اللجوء السياسي. الأفارقة ما عندهم مشكلة اللجوء السياسي. هذول الناس عايشين في الغابة واللي عايشين في الصحراء وما عندهمش مشاكل سياسية ولا يعرفوا الأحزاب ولا الانتخابات ولا المعارضات السياسي ما اللجوء السياسي ما. اللجوء السياسي كم واحد يعني ملايين عنده لجوء سياسي. هذه ملايين تزحف نحو أوروبا، هذه كلها طالب اللجوء السياسي. حاجة تضحك يعني هذه مش معقولة.
What do the people here in Lampedusa think about this new policy of sending people back to Libya?
Solo che ci dispiace, se le mandano indietro non si sa che fine faranno queste povere diavole, diciamo, queste persone che fine gli faranno fare, insomma.
The northern city of Turin is at the opposite end of the country from Lampedusa. Many migrants travel here looking for work. Several hundred have occupied this abandoned hospital, and they're proof that at least some of those coming from Libya are genuine asylum seekers.
So how long have you been living here?
For 10 days.
Just 10 days?
Just 10 days.
All these men arrived in Lampedusa, all applied for asylum, and all received some form of protection from the Italian government.
We call it a passport, but it's not a passport. This is my picture.
This man is from Sudan. He says he used to be an English professor and the spokesperson for a rebel group.
Yes. Why did you choose to come to Italy?
I read a lot about Italy, and I'm fascinated about Italy, and also I am fond of going to Italy, normally, not through illegal way by a crazy boat.
What do you think about where you are living at the moment? What do you think about?
I think it is another way of suffering, in a way. It is another suffering, according which is obviously seen here.
These men have been given protection, but they've also been left to fend for themselves. The building is run down and overcrowded, and many of the refugees say that although they're safe here, living conditions in Africa were better.
This life is just like a dog life or a monkey life. It's not real life.
You think life is worse here than in Somalia?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Very. I sure. All the room we sleep in nearly 35 persons. Like the hospital. Like hospital. Tea and water. This. No cup.
Bathroom facilities are scarce and hygiene is poor.
This is the toilet?
Yeah, this is the toilet. In Italy, we are in jail. In jail, not covered over. Not covered over.
An open jail.
Open jail. It's open jail for us. The life of Italia is very, very, very difficult here.
In recent years, cities like Turin have been transformed by immigration. A lot of drug trafficking and other crime gets blamed on the new arrivals, and some politicians are capitalizing on people's fear of the foreigners.
Buonasera, come va?
Buonasera, signor Borghezio.
Mario Borghezio is a member of the European Parliament for the Northern League, an anti-immigrant party that's done well in recent elections. He regularly leads citizens' patrols or ronde in Turin.
No, voi avete fatto bene, ben organizzato, persone giuste.
He wants to expose social problems he says are caused by unauthorised immigrants who've turned to crime.
Uno c'è, guarda che stanno via.
Ecco, là. Via gli spacciatori! Via! Via! Pusher, via! Pusher, via! Il giardino è per le persone pulite, non per gli spacciatori. Via! Mi raccomando, facci fare bella figura. Povero cagnolino. Spaventa. Bravo cagnolino.
Cos'è successo?
Siamo la ronda contro lo spaccio di droga.
E stasera abbiamo deciso di non far spacciare.
Era ora. Era ora.
Diamo una mano anche alle forze dell'ordine. E quindi...
Sarebbe quasi ora.
Così potete stare tranquilli un pochino.
Non possiamo neanche più farci una passeggiata.
È pieno di spacciatori. Anche di giorno ci sono.
Anche di giorno, non si può più uscire. Non si può più uscire.
Ma noi adesso saremo molto presenti, molto presenti. Buonasera.
Buonasera.
Di nuovo, signora. Buon proseguimento.
Buonasera.
But not everyone in this neighborhood is happy to see the ronde.
Questo modo della caccia al nero è un modo infame di trattare la popolazione che sta qua, e c'è anche parte della popolazione che non è d'accordo di fare la caccia al nero. Il problema è quello di integrare le persone, quello di parlare con le persone, non quello di cacciarle come vogliono far loro.
La guerra, questo noi non lo vogliamo, non è un territorio di guerra. E questa è una tristezza.
Non è che adesso li possiamo prendere e buttare a mare, però allora dobbiamo fare in modo di inserirli in un contesto civile. E poi soprattutto una delle regole che saranno applicate sarà quello tacitamente: nella moschea si parla italiano, perché sennò favoriscono il terrorismo e noi non capiamo niente e sappiamo che purtroppo di lì alcuni degli attentatori delle due torri sono venuti fra l'altro dalle moschee qua di Torino.
Patrols or ronde have also been organised elsewhere in northern Italy. Often they're connected with far-right groups and cross the line into vigilantism. Some people have been convicted of assault while out fighting crime. Borghezio has also been in trouble with the law.
I believe in the past, sir, you were convicted of setting fire to the possessions of some immigrants. Some people might say that you're part of the crime problem.
Non so dove abbiate raccolto questa informazione perché non l'avevo mai sentita vorrei sapere se le vostre fonti di informazione sono dei settimanali umoristici o se sono dei giornali seri, perché nella stampa normale, letta dalle persone normali, questa informazione non c'è.
In 2005, Borghezio was found guilty of arson and fined €3,000. Clearly something he doesn't like to be reminded of.
Mettiamo il culo all'ultimo stronzo che viene qui a fare domande provocatorie, ma non scherziamo, si va già bene. Si va già bene che noi siamo gente pacifica.
The ronde are now set to gain official recognition thanks to controversial new laws.
3 voti di fiducia, poi il via libera definitivo che arriva dall'aula di Palazzo Madama il pacchetto sicurezza e legge. Non mancano le polemiche tra maggioranza e opposizione e non solo. Rivendica l'importanza
per contrastare l'immigrazione clandestina.
The laws have been driven by Interior Minister Roberto Maroni, another member of the Northern League who helped create the first ronde.
Sono molto soddisfatto. Adesso daremo attuazione a questo provvedimento.
Italians all believe that there is an invasion going on because, in the last 10 years, day by day, night by night, the only message which passed, it's like immigration, like a threat to security. So Italians today are very scared, and they're right to be scared, because what they heard was just negative things.
In Naples last year, this fear drove Italians to attack foreigners living in their neighborhood. In Ponticelli, a suburb of Naples, a 16-year-old gypsy girl from Romania was accused of attempting to kidnap this woman's baby. Many Italians believe that gypsies, or Roma, steal babies, and the story found a ready audience.
Quindi io invito alle forze dell'ordine e a tutti i cittadini di diamoci una mossa, perché qua loro comandano e noi non siamo più niente. Sta succedendo che noi ce ne dobbiamo andare e loro devono stare qua. Non si può essere più bravi. Basta, ci siamo scocciati.
Police knew straight away that reprisals were likely, and sure enough, the Roma community in Ponticelli bore the brunt of local anger. A few days after the incident, this Roma camp was set on fire. Luckily, the residents had already fled. As their neighbours' homes burned, these people celebrated. Hate spilled over into violence again when yet another Roma camp in Ponticelli came under attack. Across Italy over the past year, Roma from Eastern Europe and other migrants from Africa and Asia have all been victims of vicious attacks. Human rights groups accuse Italy's right-wing government of inciting the violence. But the foreign minister says Italians are sick of seeing foreigners break the law and don't need to be incited.
People that are poor, that are in a poor life condition, they vote for us, not for the left, because they feel protected, they feel safe. Why? Because they meet criminals, they meet people that commit rapes in the streets, and that is not acceptable. So it's not a matter of incitement, it's a matter of fact.
In the end, these Roma families were also driven away.
successo ieri notte?
Ieri notte ha passato con le macchine, ha detto che ne ammazza, che morire tutti.
Roma aren't just being hunted by vigilante mobs. In some parts of Italy, the police and even the army are on the warpath. It's early morning, and on the outskirts of Rome, soldiers and carabinieri are raiding a small Roma camp. The families living here have already left for the day, but not far away, 2 startled men are detained. It's strange to see the army used against the homeless. But today's operation is part of an aggressive campaign to combat social problems and crime blamed on the Roma. It turns out these men aren't Roma at all.
11 del 67, 30 11 sesto settimo. Romania, rumeno, carta d'identità rumena.
They're ethnic Romanians and have no criminal record. The police say these men have violated hygiene and building rules, and their immigration status needs to be verified, although as EU citizens they should be free to live and work in Italy.
Io sono arrivato da 5 mesi e da questi 5 mesi loro ancora sono stato venuti 3 volte.
If people like these were living in Romania, they would have been treated very much more severely. And so the idea is that we have to combine the principle of hospitality with the principle of respect of law.
Government policy now favours the law over hospitality. This medical clinic outside of Naples is bracing itself for the impact of the new immigration laws. For the first time, migrants without documents are considered criminals. Médecins Sans Frontières, which runs this clinic, says doctors are now obliged to inform the authorities if their patients are here illegally. MSF is worried migrants will be less likely to seek medical help and says doctors will be forced to break the law.
Mi sembra una legge stupida, devo dire proprio il vero, sono sincero. Io penso che il 90%, quasi tutti anzi, la legge non la considereranno, cureranno e basta. E non si può fare diversamente. È difficile, è quasi impossibile. È impossibile.
In an abandoned house outside of Naples, around 50 young men from North Africa wish they'd never come to Italy. There's no electricity or water, and the police have warned them the house could collapse.
يعني أنت بتنام من الشاهد قبل ما ننام نقول عشان بكرة ممكن ما يطلعش علينا ممكن نموت. مش عارف بصراحة يعني.
Most of the men feel too humiliated by their living conditions to appear on camera. But this 23-year-old Egyptian has something he wants to say.
ترضى تنام كده وترضى تعيش كده ومش عارف يعني لو ترضى ما مش عارف بجد مش عارف أعمل إيه. الحياة دي حياة ده حياة بني آدم ده الحيوان ما يرضاش ينام هنا يعني الحيوان ما يرضاش ينام هنا.
When it starts to rain, water comes through the open windows, soaking the men's mattresses and clothes. In one important respect, the men who live here and the government are now in complete agreement. Coming to Italy was a mistake.
فأنا أحب أنصح كل شاب عربي ما يفكرش إن هو يعدي ويخاطر ويدفع ويكاني وماني وما عادش أوروبا تستاهل أي شيء، وبلادنا أحسن من أوروبا مليون ألف مرة.
Unfortunately, for migrants who've spent all their money coming here, there's no way back.
دايما منهنين، احنا العرب منهنين في كل مكان بنروح.